Welcome to the Croc Podcast.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here is your host, Dr. E.
Howdy, Croc Nation. Dr. Tommy and Ellie here with you with another amazing Croc podcast. Joining me, my partner in crime, my bestie, my spiritual warrior, best friend, Angel Santana. Have faith, let it begin. Angel, we're really on a roll now.
Let me tell you, with the winds picking up and us here in the Northeast having nothing but fall weather in the soon-to-be summer, we have picked up like a hurricane, with all due respect to hurricane victims, and we are just moving along like the greatest twister, but in a good form, of course.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, actually, some good news for you is that it's going to warm up this week. So we're going to go from basically the frigid, Arctic to Puerto Rico for the beautiful white sands and blue ocean of Puerto Rico this week.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba.
Excellent. See, we do, everybody, we do our own music clips. We don't have enough money, to pay someone for a music clip.
That's true.
So, Angel, I have a really great podcast tonight. It's going to be a tough one because it's a very, very profound podcast, and it deals with our staff and healthcare workers in general and the actual trauma that they have to endure when they are taking care of sick people. And the first thing I asked myself when I was preparing for this podcast is, and I asked myself, and I wonder if you guys have ever asked yourself, what type of person would voluntarily sign up to take care of sick people, right? So that's the first question I asked. And then there are certain characteristics that come to mind, but they're very vague and they're not unique to other professions. But some of the words that come up to me are devotion, dedication, intelligence. These are people who are gifted with great talents. They're very caring. They're very giving. They're selfless. They're compassionate, and they're empathetic. So you have to have all of these characteristics to be a healer. And these are all true, but this list is incomplete. And I hope by the end of this podcast, I answer the question of who are the type of people that actually go into healthcare. In addition, the road to becoming a healer is far from easy. So just getting into school, I've told everybody on the podcast how so many prayers and so many sleepless nights went into my acceptance, to an American medical school, which was to me miraculous. And then the schooling itself is brutal and the training is even more brutal. And so again, I ask everyone who would want to do this, right? That's the first question that I ask. And then I thought, becoming a healthcare worker is a dream. It's a vision. It's a desire that haunts the reveries of those who are interested in doing this type of life. And it starts very early in our life. And we know it's there. We know that there's this desire. And sometimes this desire could be fed by some influences or a family member who's a healer. Sometimes there's a pivotal experience, like a family member gets cancer and you watch your loved one die, and then you're devoted to then trying to cure cancer. But at the deepest level, we still can't explain why it is this. Who are these people and why do they choose to go into healthcare? It's a true calling. It's a legitimate and genuine obsession to help others who are in pain and who are in crisis. And it's like the way I thought of it, Angel, it's like a brilliant, blinding light that guides us and protects us through the bleakest hours and the most unspeakable horrors that we have to see. And you guys have to endure. And we have to be not only the people to help you walk you through this, but we have to bear witness to this pain. And there are many times when this light fades, and that exposes the vulnerability of our humanity. Even though we try to be a little bit more than human when we take care of you guys, at the deepest level, we are human and we are frail. And recently, this light stated 2 times in our clinic over the last 2 weeks. And as I said, this was going to be a very profound podcast, and I hope that you stick with it and stick with me. And what I saw in this dusk of pain, as I'll call it, was very sobering, but it was also very enlightening to me. So let's start with Ernest Howard. He was a fine man, Angel, just a good guy. We loved him. We loved taking care of him. He was a prostate cancer patient. He was cherished by the staff. He was funny. He was sincere. And he was always with his son, who was a junior. And they were never apart. And it was actually kind of comical. They were like twins, and they would never be apart from each other, only when Ernest would go in to get his treatments. And on one day, he was sitting in the waiting room waiting for his turn, and he just kind of slumped over, and it looked like he was just sleeping. It was almost like he was tired and he just needed to take a nap, but he stopped breathing. And we called what I hate, and Angel is the best at this, and Nick is the best at this when they have to take these high pressure calls and then get everybody mobilized. I hear Code Blue Cancer Center radiation oncology, and those are the words I never want to hear. And the code team came and they worked furiously on him to revive him. And usually, Angel, when these things happen, I just kind of disappear because I let the code team do their thing, and that's what they do their magic. That's exactly what they do. But that day I couldn't move, Angel. None of us could move. The entire staff witnessed this. Everyone from the clerical staff to the front desk, the therapists, the nurses, the administrators, none of us could move. We were absolutely immobilized. And just, it was horrifying to watch them shock him. And his son was there. It was just absolutely horrible, horrific. It was like we were in a bad dream. We were just wanting to wake up. We just wanted to knock our heads against the wall and wake ourselves up. And, I think we all thought, well, Ernest can't be dying. He has prostate cancer. We're going to cure him of his prostate cancer. We never thought for 1 second that he might have another medical issue or his heart might just give out. Like, not here, not now, not on our watch. Matt Doyle is a fine man, also a prostate cancer survivor, New York City retired fireman, pillar of his community, pillar of his family, who not only raised his children, but he also raised his granddaughter, who was diagnosed with type 1 juvenile diabetes at a very early age. And despite this hardship, she worked hard and she was raised the right way, thanks to him. And she got accepted into an excellent college, and she was doing amazing. And every time we would see him for follow-up, he would brag, and he was so proud. And he told us of her journey and her successes. And then one night, due to some stupid glitch in her insulin pump, she just never woke up and was never given the chance to fulfill her potential or to achieve her destiny. And as different as these two stories are, there was a commonality, Angel, that was nuclear in its power. It was so powerful to see how the staff reacted to these two tragedies. And at both of these moments in our department, and again, over a 2-week period of time, that brilliant and blinding light of our healthcare directive dimmed and was almost extinguished. And instead of the usual fiery and focused eyes that I see in my team, I saw their eyes turn into hollow voids of horror, of despair. They were so shocked they couldn't even cry, and they were too confused to even process this information. And Angel, it was then at that moment that I realized that what we ask of our staff, all of the trauma, all of the horror, all of the pain, all of the fear, from the front desk to our amazing switchboard, our operators, Angel and Nick and all their crew, the security guards, housekeepers, clinical staff, anybody and anyone who works in healthcare is at best unrealized and unrecognized. We don't recognize or help them realize this trauma. And at worst, we cause this trauma. It's almost inhumane what we do to our staff. And no matter how much our training tries to de-amplify our humanity, or to construct us into robots, or try to deaden our feelings, we should never forget that our staff are flesh and blood, caring and special people. These are people, Angel, who have devoted and sacrificed their lives to make others feel less pain, feel less afraid, feel safe, feel cared for. And these are the people who we've worked with for decades, like David Garcia and all of our therapists and all of our nurses. They become our friends. And these are the people who are at highest risk because of this trauma for depression, for anxiety, for burnout, for addiction issues, and of course, suicide. And I have a question for all of our healthcare leaders. Does your staff know that you appreciate them? Do they know that you are aware of what you are asking them? Because that brilliant and blinding light, that beacon of hope, that signal of professional reinforcement needs to come from you. You can't wait for that light to appear. You can't let that light go out. You need to be that light, especially during the times when the light is at the highest risk of becoming extinct. Being that light, though, is not about buying lunch or a passing thank you for your hard work or a field trip. And all of these things are good and even great. And we've done some podcasts on how to appreciate our staff. But being that light is deeper, Angel. It's about as deep as you can go in our human journey. It's an appreciation and recognition at the level of our souls, an appreciation of how your staff endures trauma day in and day out, the long weeks, the longer years and decades. And Angel, believe it or not, this trauma is not only the bond that connects you to your staff, but ultimately it's the bond that connects us to our patients. And that is the missing piece once we started this podcast. It is this ability to share this trauma with our colleagues and with our patients that define who is the right person to take on that monumental task of taking care of the sick. Angel Santana, your thoughts?
Well, listening to this, and being the 911 switchboard operator, it brought me back to my first day on the job. And, when you sign up to do a job, you do the job because you love helping people. Unfortunately, not every day is filled with roses. Not every day the sun, is shining bright. You'll have those moments where you'll lose a patient. I'm not a doctor, I'm not medical, but I'm the one that puts those balls in motion. And when we lose a patient, we feel as if did we do it fast enough? What did we do wrong? And you know what? Find me any field. I challenge you to find any field that will automatically put themselves at fault first and question themselves, because they know that they're doing everything they can each and every day they clock in, to make sure that people's lives are in good hands. So I say that, in the spiritual aspect, when a person is being called home, it's not the end. It really is the beginning. Unfortunately for us on Earth, we have to wait to meet again, but we will all meet again.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I really think it's important for us to, it's uncomfortable to talk about this, but it's important that you know that all the people that you're rubbing elbows with are very special, that they would not be rubbing elbows with you as a healer unless they were that particular person that could handle this. But with that being said, you need to know as a leader in healthcare the trauma that you do expect your people to have to and Angel, it starts with, the switchboard, and it's every single person that works in healthcare. So I don't want to make this about doctors or nurses, physical therapists or speech therapists or nutritionists. I mean, it's about everybody that works in healthcare. And, in a way, I think it's very, rewarding for me, to be able to kind of have had this realization. It took two very, very traumatic, stories, to open my mind and my eyes to see what I expect our staff to go through and not even wince or not even feel. And that's wrong. So I really want this podcast. And I know it's a cancer support, cancer survivor, thriver podcast platform for you guys, for our survivor thrivers. But sometimes I need to kind of turn the lens on itself, for our healthcare workers who are so important in your journey. And I know that you guys are probably thinking, well, it's our trauma and it's our pain. And, who are you guys to feel traumatized by our trauma? But we're human and we do. And I think it's out of respect for our survivor thrivers and with the recognition that this is the bond that holds us together, not just the healthcare workers, but also our survivor thrivers. And it makes it sort of a triangle. It's like we are connected to each other, but we're connected to the survivor thrivers who are connected to each other. And then it sort of completes the triangle. So I hope that you guys take this podcast in the right light. And especially, for healthcare workers, God bless you. And thank you for being that special type of person who could take care of sick people. And Angel, I'm going to end this podcast as I end them all with a great deep prayer. And this one prayer is going to go out to our care, to our healthcare workers. Please know that you are recognized and we do realize what we ask of you and demand of you and expect of you. And I want to let you guys know that you are loved, you are appreciated, and you are respected. And we wish you all a long, healthy, happy, not just a cancer-free life, and not a life without trauma, but a life where you're able to have your coworkers help you adapt and adjust and conform to that trauma. God bless you. God be with you. Peace.
Hey, Croc Nation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the podcast to your friends. Visit our website, crocvip.com. We would love to hear your feedback.